Senator Shaheen, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary Womath and General McConville, for your service to the country and for being here this morning. I want to begin with a real concern I have, because looking at the 2023 budget request, I noted that it does not include any funding, zero funding, to continue procurement of the Enhanced Night Vision Goggle Binocular, or ENVGB. I'm concerned that this decision not only harms our soldiers by limiting access to more advanced night vision systems, but also affects our nation's already limited night vision manufacturing industrial base. And in fact, the Army's own unfunded priority list notes that, and I quote, "A lack of funding decreases soldier survivability and, quote, places the manufacturer at risk of closing the production line," end quote. So can you talk about how you justify that decision to cut a program that the Army's own unfunded priority list says will affect soldiers' survivability? I think that's probably for you, Madam Secretary.
Senator, we had made the judgment, I believe, and I think General McConville can speak to this as well because it's on his UPL, that we had procured the quantities of night vision goggles that we thought would meet our requirements. And again, a lot of what we're trying to do with the resources that we have is balance between making sure that we continue to have resources to invest in the new modernization programs, as well as continue to invest in some of the enduring systems that we have. So that is always a bit of a tightrope for us. And, those dials are ones that we, may be able to adjust through things like items that are on the unfunded priorities list.
Well, but just last month, an audit by the DoD Inspector General found that the Army is at risk of wasting up to $21.88 billion in taxpayer funds to field a system that soldiers may not want to use or use as intended. And I understand the need to continue development and that the IVAS system is what appears to be the future. But I also understood that the RDT&E for that had not been adequately completed. And so we're investing in a system that we're not sure is going to work. And we're not sure we have enough of the old system or the current system to address the soldiers' needs. So I'm not convinced on your argument.
Senator, on IVAS, we have worked very closely with our soldiers through the soldier-centered design process to get their feedback all along the way. And we didn't fully agree with some of the GAO findings. We have a major operational test with IVAS that's starting this month and that will continue through June. And we'll be looking carefully at those results to, inform ultimately where we go with IVAS. But I think, I feel pretty comfortable with where that program is. We've been working very closely with Microsoft. And I think that program is on track and that we've actually gotten quite a bit of good feedback from soldiers as we've worked to develop IVAS.
So you don't agree with the Inspector General's report?
We didn't particularly agree with the characterization that, soldiers were not going to use IVAS ultimately. I mean, again, I think one of the things the Army has done very well is to try to have a more soldier-centered design process across the board and to allow us to get that kind of feedback. So I think it was just a bit of an overcharacterization by the Inspector General on that particular point.
Well, I look forward to hearing how that RDT&E goes, because I'm very concerned that we're going to lose our manufacturing base for the ENVGB and that's going to put soldiers at risk. I want to switch to child care because Secretary Hicks and General McConville, you both talked about the importance of taking care of our troops. And as we think about the recruitment and retention challenges that we have in the Army, it reminds me of an effort that I spearheaded when I was governor in New Hampshire in the 90s to try and expand access to early childhood education and child care. And one of the models that we looked at was the Department of Defense and what our military was doing, for the very reason that you talked about, that so many of our soldiers come from military families. And investing in childcare is a way to invest in those soldiers from the earliest years. So can you talk about why that's so important? And I raise it because we're pursuing an interesting approach in New Hampshire where the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard is partnering with the New Hampshire National Guard to use funding to construct a new child development center.
Yes, Senator. As I mentioned, we recruit soldiers, but we retain families. And we take a look at, I think, what makes our Army the greatest Army in the world is our non-commissioned officers. And 89% of our leaders, basically sergeant and above, have families. And if we want to compete for the best, we've got to take care of their families. And as you know, right now our child development centers are really the best, standard-wise, the best in the country as far as standards. We don't have enough. We're trying to get more. We're trying to build more. We're trying to take care of the ones we have. We're also putting a lot of bonuses in place to get the right caretakers, because in order for us to either provide fee assistance or help with the child development centers or the people we're going to hire, they have to meet the standards. And again, we want quality people taking care of our kids. And to me, it's extremely important.
Thank you. I appreciate the emphasis. Thank you.
Thank you very much.